You got his coach?
Yep. Good.
Yep. All right,
Okay.
we'll start with you, Lindsay.
Hey, Sean. Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
With Sam Darnold, what are you seeing from him this season so far?
Yeah, I see a guy that's really, I think they're doing a great job. You see a guy that can create off schedule. I think he's playing in rhythm, on time, understands, the intent of what Kevin's calling. I've seen a guy that uses his athleticism to be able to move the sticks a lot. And I see his teammates have a bunch of confidence in him. So a lot of the things that made him, such a highly rated prospect coming out of USC. I think he's in a good situation, obviously, with a coach that I have tremendous respect for. And you can see there's a comfort that those two have. And then I'm seeing the athleticism when things do break down and go a little bit outside the timing and rhythm, where he's made a bunch of plays.
And then what's it like for you? Just obviously, you mentioned Kevin used to be on your staff. What's it like for you to see him have this kind of success and then have to go up against him on Thursday?
Yeah, not surprised. I think he's done a great job for the first 2 years, with a variety of different situations that have presented themselves. I think he's got a great coaching staff. They've done a great job of being able to add players that fit the identity that they want to play with. But Kevin's a guy that was a tremendous positive impact influence, as made a tremendous influence and impact as a coach here. I'm not surprised, and I'm happy for those guys. And, we'll give them our best shot on Thursday.
Thanks, Sean.
You're welcome.
Sarah?
Hey, Sean, did you guys come out of the game with any injuries yesterday?
Yeah, the only guy that we'll have to monitor will be Braden Fisk. His back was a little bit sore. He'll be, the guy that'll be listed on the injury report, even though we know that we have a modified practice routine on these Thursdays. So we'll see what his availability looks like, but everybody else seems like they're okay.
And then with Cooper, you said you hope he plays on Thursday. Would that be a normal workload for him when you talk about the return?
That's to be determined. I think, we're just getting in, as you guys know, it's a much more accelerated schedule. So we'll kind of put our first, second, and third down plans together today, and then, get some walkthroughs with the guys tomorrow, and then actually try to get a little bit of a practice on Wednesday. So that'll be something that as we're putting it together and really diving into it, we'll have a better feel for, but definitely excited to have him back.
And then Jordan Whittington, is that kind of the workload you anticipated for him going into the game?
Well, he didn't get to practice really a lot because of the limitations with his shoulder. So hopefully he'll have a little bit more of a workload. There's been a lot of moving parts, but, I do think it's important, especially for a younger player, to get an opportunity to get those practice reps. Thought Tyler did some good things yesterday, but do want to make sure that we're getting, we're using everybody that we have at our disposal, but the practice, his availability and some of those things with his shoulder played into it.
And then when you promoted Aubrey this offseason, you mentioned that he spoke to the rookie class kind of about culture. I'm curious what you took from watching him, if you were there, present to that group, and why that was important for you to see him do that.
Yeah, well, I've seen him lead and coach, for a long time now. I think there's ability to connect. I think that there's a charisma, there's a presence that he has, but most importantly, connecting with, different types of guys. And he's got such good emotional intelligence and awareness on how to be able to do that. I think he's done a great job of being able to impact this team in a positive way up to this point. There's been some different circumstances that we've been presented with through first 6 weeks, but he's a guy that I've heavily leaned on. But similar to when I'm watching him run, whether it be DB meetings or whether he's run some unit stuff with our defense over the last handful of years, it was the same sort of delivery that was authentic, ability to be able to connect with his audience, and he did a great job.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Gary?
Hey, Sean. Some of your players have said that while it's tough to do the turnaround, they really enjoy Thursday night games because there isn't a lot of time to plan, and you just they go out there and they can just play. And I'm just wondering, from your perspective, do you see it the same way, or do you miss those, extra days of preparation?
Well, it is about the players, so that's a positive that they're saying that. I think, over the next couple of days, I won't like it. But then, when you get a little bit of time after the Thursday game, if you do what you're supposed to do, you definitely enjoy it. So what I do think is good is it forces accelerated decisions. And so, those have been things that, in the previous experiences, we've had some good success, but it is definitely a little bit more stressful in terms of the preparation and the ability to get everything, done in a manner that's reflective of being prepared for a game. But it is what it is. And if the players like it, then hey, we're not the ones playing, so I'm not going to complain.
And I think, if I recall correctly, when you guys drafted Kobie Durant, Les had talked about he was a guy who was showing up, making plays, even against upper level competition, that ability to get his hands on the ball. And he talked last night about being a little frustrated, not necessarily getting the opportunities for himself, creating those opportunities last season. Was that something that you guys saw missing, or was he just not getting opportunities, or was he not creating them?
No, I think it was more about, it's always about the collective, but I think, you look at him individually, Gary, I've been so impressed with the trajectory that he's been on. I thought he had an outstanding offseason. I thought it carried over into training camp. And then he had a couple little things where he was dealing with some soft tissue stuff that limited his practice availability. I think he's really done an excellent job. I thought he played great yesterday. I think he played really well. Really this season, I think he's played really well, but you got some opportunities to see him play outside, to play inside. I think we're earning more chances, to be able to be kind of where the pen's in your hand defensively. And he certainly took advantage of that in two critical plays that he made. One being able to make that pick, and then another being able to force the fumble. And then I thought the breakup that he had on Bowers on the third down individual cut on the backside of the 1x3 was huge. So he played great yesterday, and I think he's played really well. I've been really impressed with him overall, Gary.
Thanks very much.
You're welcome.
Adam.
Hey, Sean. First start for Justin Dedich yesterday. What went into that decision, and what did you see from him?
Yeah, I think just wanted to see if, he gave us an opportunity to play, quality football from the left guard. There's been some good things that we've seen from Logan Bruss, but I think, competition brings out the best in guys. And, yesterday was a unique game in terms of how we felt as the flow of the game unfolded. All right, what was going to be the best way to approach it? But I was pleased with the way that he competed in both phases overall.
And I know this practice week is not really a practice week, but do you expect any change in status for any of the IR guys this week?
The Noteboom is a guy that might be available, but other than those guys, don't expect any changes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Jordan.
Hey, Sean, year 2 of Brian Flores' defense over there. What do you see from that group?
A lot. I mean, he's a great coach, and this goes back to, going against him for a handful of years. There's a clear-cut identity. There's an understanding of what offenses are trying to do, and his ability to be able to create a bunch of conflict, with moving parts and guys that can play in a variety of spots, and having 11 guys, but dispersing them differently and being able to put pressure on you offensively. He does as good a job as there is. I've been really impressed. We're still in the early parts of the preparation, but you see why all the accolades have been thrown his way and this defense's way through the first 6 weeks. They're outstanding.
Some players who have played against it have said in the past that with the type of pressure he brings, it's almost like not as helpful to look for tendencies there and more so to expect that he's going to throw whatever he thinks will work against you.
Yeah.
I guess if you could outline that in a little bit more detail from your perspective.
Yeah, I think it's fair. I think there's there's a lot of stuff that you're looking at, and he understands, the tendencies or the different things that offenses might be looking for. And he does a great job from a self-scout perspective of being able to change those things up. And so you have to be really sound with your rules. You have to understand, how you want to distribute the field, how you want to target certain things as it relates to protection or in the run game. And, he's excellent. And then he's got some movable pieces that have some versatile skill sets that can create that conflict that, that they're looking to do. And it's been incredibly successful really for him wherever he's been as a defensive coach. And it's especially on display, this year.
And then on that same thread, what is it like as an offensive coach, game planner, play caller to go against a defense that asserts against you versus necessarily reacts to what your offense is doing specifically?
Yeah, I think, it forces you to, be sound, play rules ball, like what you're talking about, be really disciplined, make sure that you're on the screws because, they're attacking, they're taking it to you. They're doing a great job with that. So you have to have counters and answers for all the things that you're talking about. And it definitely creates a lot of challenges. And, And you've got to be ready to see the game live as it kind of unfolds, and your players have to be able to do the same thing.
Thanks, Sean.
You're welcome.
Stu and quickly Wyatt.
Hey, Sean, real quick, just wanted to ask you about the performance by the defense yesterday. I mean, what can that do? Not just from an identity standpoint, but even a confidence standpoint, having a game like that.
I think it's huge. I thought, they took command, they took control of that game. You could really see that they were able to, do a lot of the things, and they earned the right to be in some of those situations that Jordan was asking about with Coach Flores' defense. And so I was really proud. I thought the game plan, I thought we utilized our personnel. I thought the players brought it to life, and I thought the coaches did an excellent job of creating clarity and really being able to, be the strength of that unit is what catapulted us, to be able to play the game the way we did. And the flow of that game dictated, our approach as a team. But I was really proud of those guys. And, what I would say is I think it's a great opportunity to be able to build on that momentum, but every week you got to be able to earn it. And look no further than, from a positive perspective, you have a really tough showing as a team in week 2, and then you end up responding in week 3. But what we do want to be able to do is use that. But it's a great challenge. I mean, this is an excellent offense that's coming in here, great playmakers, obviously very familiar with, what a good coaching staff that they have, and their ability to utilize all the talent that they have has definitely been something that creates a lot of conflict that you've seen on tape for the first 6 weeks of the season.
Wyatt.
Hey, Sean, it seems like you guys were able to limit Maxx Crosby's impact apart from, a couple plays there. What kind of goes into game planning for a guy like that? And what did you see from Rob Havenstein in that matchup?
Yeah, I thought Rob did a great job. I mean, we basically chipped him every single snap that we threw the football. He was he's as disruptive of a player as you see on tape. There's some great players in this league, but he is certainly up there. And so that was the number one goal going into the game. You could see it by some of the things that we did, but I thought Rob competed really well. But that was the main focal point as it relates to them. And, he wasn't a huge factor. He did a great job coming inside on a long stick on the one play action pass that we had where they got the sack. But other than that, it did alter, the way that we approached it. And they played well defensively, but, he wasn't, he was a focal point. And, even though the attention that he garnered, he impacted the game, even though the stats don't show it. But I was really pleased with Rob.
Thank you.
All righty.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, guys.